Because
Whatever.
I was the host offline
Oh,
when you weren't on.
gotcha. Okay. All right. So back to paragraph number 2. And we are on text 596 for those who did not hear the first part. And we're on line number, let's see, got to put you on mute here. Okay. Line number, all right, so we were basically talking about how it requires 2 parties in order to make the problem. And so when we're in, both of us are in our pain, we're going to perpetuate the pain. And that one person stops, then we reconnect on a different level, because we're looking at the lens of the Holy Spirit instead of the continued perpetuation of the ego. All righty, so we were looking in that one real long line, right? All right, so if you withhold agreement, did I finish that line or did I not? I don't think I did. All right, so we'll start again. Okay, so if you withhold agreement and accept the part you play in making sickness real, so in other words, we stop our part in continuing the separated experience, the other mind cannot project its guilt on you because you are coming from a different place now. Without your aid and letting it perceive itself as separate, because our aid is perpetuating the separation on our end. So when we stop that, we are not feeding into it the way we were before and apart from you. So we now play a different purpose in the communication or the connection with our relationship with our brother. So if you stop, that brother has to either do something different or go somewhere else and pick on somebody else. But you no longer are part of the separated experience because you have chosen for the oneness instead.
Can I interject?
Absolutely.
This is just what's coming up for me. It might be helpful. So when he says the other mind, just realize that's what we think. There is an other mind.
Right.
I mean, I give what I get because there is only one mind.
Right. Right, but the one mind in its separated state doesn't believe it's
the
one.
minds are separate, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
right. And at that moment that you join in that different relationship, you are now in your mind, well, let's do this one, you are connecting with the one mind. So you see your brother in one mind, and that brother may or may not join. When you come back down, you start all over. Am I going to choose that again? But in that instant, a shift occurred, and you saw clearly oneness instead of separation or duality. All right. Thus is the body not perceived as sick by both minds from separate points of view. So the body or what the body's doing will be seen as sickness if you both agree to looking through the lens of separation. When one of you looks through the lens of oneness, then you no longer feed the wound of that person because you're looking clearly through that lens. Hard to put it into words, but we're trying. Uniting with a brother's mind prevents the cause of sickness and Uniting with a brother's mind prevents the cause of sickness and perceived effects. So when you join in that unity, all this story of the ego falls away. So you don't connect with them on the level of sickness or perceived effects. That's gone because you've chosen to connect with oneness. And again, this is always a mutually exclusive situation. I'm either aligned with oneness or I'm aligned with duality. And the effects will always proceed from whichever alignment that I have in place. So It may not seem like we're doing a lot when we're observing or when we're, looking at the separated dream that seems to be playing about, but we really are collapsing the dream. Because you're either here, the character of the dream, acting in the dream as though you are you, or you're observing what's going on, of which you appear to be one of the characters in the dream. This is so powerful. Because when you're here instead of here, you're literally collapsing time because you're not feeding in and rolling out the carpet of time. So keep observing, even though it may not appear that's doing anything. It's doing major shifts and changes. All right, let's see. Healing is the effect of minds that join, as sickness comes from minds that separate. So again, healing is the effect of the mind when you join. Sickness is the effect of the mind when you separate. Unequivocally across the board, no matter what's going on. So again, it's very beneficial for us to keep working towards opening the door to connect with oneness instead of duality. Because duality will never bring love. It doesn't live there. No matter how much we try to manipulate the world and have things happen in the world that I'm, going to have these wonderful relationships and buy candy for and all that other stuff, and they're going to love me because I'm nice to them, all that kind of stuff, though it may be in the world nicer than being an aggressive, nasty person, it is not going to bring the love that this course is trying to offer to us. All right, paragraph number 3. The miracle does nothing just because the minds are joined and cannot separate. So basically what that means is the miracle is the memory of what you are, but the miracle doesn't do anything. What does the miracle do? It just is the miracle. What changes is that the ego removes the block that keeps us from experiencing what the miracle was, which was always there in the first place. So the miracle does nothing. So if you're waiting for something in your world to look different because of an effect of a miracle, which is tricky because obviously in Kathleen's situation we talked about earlier, something did physically change. But as Tashara said near the end of the first half of the class, if I try to manipulate a different effect in the world to get what just happened in your situation to happen, I'm in charge again, and I'm out of the picture of really shifting and changing my mind about what the real cause and effect situation is. Because I get out of the way, I don't know the answer. I know there is a problem here though, and I'm tired of the problem. Okay. All right, so again, joining cannot separate. Only in duality or separation can there be that experience of something not connected. Yet in the dreaming, has this been reversed, and separate minds are seen as bodies which are separated and which cannot join. So within the belief system of the ego, we don't recognize the mind. We only see the body. And in the body, of course, our bodies are programmed to see other bodies. So we report back to the ego mind and say, but look what's going on out here, which is all a setup. All a setup. Because we're really only joined at the level of the mind. And when we put the blocks to that connection in front of us, we will see our brothers as different, even though our brother is simply a part of ourselves. I'm going to read that line again. Yet in dreaming has this been reversed. Literally, when we chose to identify with the ego, we flip the thought system completely upside down and backwards from what it was. And we have lived here since the Big Bang. So now the Course comes along and says, well, we got this other plan. You're really going to love it. Come on over here. And we go, but wait, no, this feels very comfortable. I don't like it all the time, but it's really comfortable. I don't think I want to go there. until the pain becomes so intense that we go, okay, I'll try that once. Let's see, that wasn't too bad. I didn't get hit by lightning. But eventually we will realize this is our true nature.
Shaking up our world.
Oh, baby, is it shaking up our world? It's sort of like one of those globes that you shake up the snow, yeah. And it's really leading us to healing, but because we believed that we were okay, what this appears to be showing us is something in opposition to what we're identifying with. So it's very disturbing at first. But eventually we will become very comfortable with it and we will go, oh, thank goodness that I finally came to this realization. So yet in the dreaming has this been reversed, and separate minds are seen as bodies. Well, the Course, if you really dig deeply, is always talking to our mind. It is never talking to our bodies. And the reason why is because our body is just a puppet being played out by the choice in the mind. But we need to come to recognizing it's the mind where the shift begins to happen. But again, in this, it's all about bodies. He's saying it's all about minds. Again, totally opposite from where we came before. All right. All right, so, wrong line. All right, and separate minds are seen as bodies which are separated and which cannot join. Because, within the context of the belief system of the world of bodies, we can obviously join by having sex, okay? We all know that. But are we really joining? We're not really joining. It's two separate bodies doing something together, okay? But this is, in the mind, we can join at a level beyond the body that is where the real connection occurs. And all the things within the body, within the world, are all not what he's talking about. And yet, where we spend most of our conscious thinking, thoughts, and awareness is in this belief that this is who I am and I am this body. And I see all those other bodies out there, most of which I don't like very well, or they won't cooperate with what I think they should do. And it's, again, with this is my norm. This is going to eventually lead me to a totally different norm. All right, do not allow your brother to be sick, because if you agree with his sickness, you make yourself sick and then perpetuate the sickness. Now, the deal with that is I have to become very acutely aware that I am choosing to keep my brother sick, and I am agreeing with his sickness because I want to continue my belief in that I'm a body. So as I keep asking and keep choosing, literally the attachment we have to the identity of me as a body begins to dissipate. It's not as strong it becomes more like background music than foreground situation. Yeah.
So that's basically all the judgments.
Absolutely. Attack, you're right, they're wrong, the whole deal. Anything that's not love or peace, you can throw everything else into the pot, and that's called the ego.
And it really starts in your mind. It isn't your
It-
body
it-
making judgments. Your mind,
No.
you've agreed in your mind to make the judgment about their body.
Correct. Yeah. And it's because you're coming through this thought system. It's automatic. I don't, wake up in the morning and see who I can hate today. Chop, chop, chop. It's in there because I'm aligned with the ego mindset. And the ego mindset is it's all about separation. So I hear, see, experience life through separation. Smell the whole everything. The mind, this robot has been programmed to see this as our reality.
And that ego mind will put people on a plane who used to own vast territories but we now call the United States and say they don't belong here and send them different places.
Exactly.
It's like, wait a minute.
But in the world of separation, that's what you do. I mean, that's logical, that's practical, that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
And
kill or be killed.
killed or be killed. And we, again, part of the looking is to become aware of how often, how frequently that's the norm. Kill or be killed. You against me. I'm gonna, somebody said I'm gonna kick them off the throne before I get kicked off the throne. In the world, that's very logical, practical, necessary to survive. And again, here, or I guess it's here, that's the truth. But that's not what truth is. Truth is totally different.
That's why we ask for another way.
That's why we ask for another way. But in order to get the answer of the other way, I have to take my answer out of the way. I can't have them both. Yeah.
And the thing is, you think your answer's a powerful contribution to the situation.
And you get to try it out as long as you think you need to. So
Absolutely.
Nobody's telling you don't do it that
Right.
way.
And I would say try everything you can in your power, because eventually you will fail, no offense. But, and then you'll be willing to try it his way. I mean,
That's why you keep looking,
because
it's costing you.
yep. The story of Buddha, he fasted, he did this, he did that, he did it on his own, with all the techniques. And then one day, he ran out of techniques, sat down in front of the Bodhi tree and got it, because all of his plans were exhausted. And believe me, we are fighters, and we will fight in any possible way to do this on our own, not realizing that that's really keeping us from the answer. Yeah, you had something.
We are forced to make choices every day.
Well, you
Your
see,
side, my
okay.
side. I want this to eat, I don't want this to eat, I have to do this, I have to do that. You can't just sit under the Bodhi tree and say, I get it.
But you see, one day you will gladly sit under the Bodhi tree and get it. You see, because literally part of the programming of this entire thought system is exactly what you said. I've got to make these choices. I've got to do that. I've got to be in control. And yes, in our experience, unequivocally, that's how we live life in this world. This is saying different rules, different rules.
You're taking the Holy Spirit.
You're taking the
with
Holy Spirit with you.
That's the different purpose.
That's the different purpose.
Whatever you do, if you can remember to take the Holy Spirit, eating, breathing, whatever you're doing.
Everything you do, yeah,
And it becomes a preference rather than
yeah,
a
good
choice.
point, yeah.
Than a demand.
Yeah, it's not, I have to have this, or I have to eat this. It's, I eat what's in front of me. And I might have a preference for something else, but it's not disturbing my peace.
Right.
The choice, when I find myself between, I gotta, gee, do I need to do this, or do I need to do this? That's a red flag. Bing, I gotta ask for help with that one, because that's
Right.
exactly where the ego wants us.
And that's duality.
Yes.
I get lost in the duality, and I think I need to find the right answer, and then I can proceed. The right answer is take the Holy Spirit with whatever answer you come up with, do the best you can, take the Holy Spirit with you every step of the way, wherever you go. Because the ego's always messing with us. It says, okay, now choose. Finally choose this one, and it doesn't turn out real well. And you go, well, I should have chosen that one. Well, it wouldn't have mattered which one you chose if you didn't take the Holy Spirit with you. It's very manipulative.
That's what runs you. You run on that, you run on that. I
Yep.
remember, I mean, I guess my joy at this point is that I don't have to strap the Holy Spirit into a car seat or listen to them yell at me in the back seat. It's like somehow taking the desire, a desire to be free from the constraints of all these things.
Yes.
Do you
Yep.
want chocolate? Yes, I want chocolate all the time. Well, today I really didn't want chocolate,
Yep.
so I'm
Yep.
like, I'm off the hook finally. I just have to keep giving it over.
And in answer kind of to your question, Kathleen, if I think I need to make a choice today, you think you should. If you think you do, you should. So keep doing those choices, but keep asking to have your mind healed. And I know I've given the example of if your roof is leaking and it's pouring down rain in your kitchen, you want to get a mop and you should clean the floor because someone's going to trip on it. But if you don't ask for help, get what the real problem is healed, It's gonna continue to rain down in your kitchen, and you can go buy the best mop on the planet, but you're not solving the problem that's really at the core or the cause.
Cause versus effect.
Absolutely,
And Byron, Katie says, go to the party, do the work, don't go to the party, do the work.
exactly,
Whatever we choose, that,
exactly.
What's presented in front of us,
it's,
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna
Yep.
be our lesson.
Yep.
It's gonna be a lesson. Yesterday, going to the farm with the horses or not going.
Yep.
And I chose not going. Then
Right.
today I should have went. And,
Mm.
then catching, whoa, there it is again.
Yep.
So, and I stayed home and did what?
Ah.
Really? Okay, it was a mistake.
Or not,
Was a
it just
mistake.
is.
Or not, right, it happened.
Yep.
And, what does that change? And just sitting there and seeing, I needed something to make myself feel guilty.
And be
And
very
maintain
aware
this.
of scenarios like that. No matter what I choose, I'm gonna second guess the choice I made, which keeps me in duality once again.
Right, yeah, that I should
Very
have done,
sneaky
should have
stuff.
done that. You're suffering, that's when you're suffering from that thought is making you suffer, not
Yep.
what you did or didn't do, just that thought of I should
Yep.
have, why didn't I? Cause you're never happy.
And be aware, the ego's job is to keep you in some form of conflict.
Mindless.
Well, and mindless, correct, because conflict is disruption of peace. And the ego's all about what can we throw in their lap this afternoon?
And that's also a demonstration of you're never upset for the reason you think.
Absolutely.
You're always upset. It doesn't, why, where are you gonna find anything that's gonna make you happy, except if you ask the Holy Spirit?
Yep,
The Holy Spirit will say, well, honey, what do you wanna do today? I mean, I just got this enormous sense of, I'm out of the way, and Jesus is saying, well, what are we gonna do today? It's kind of like I'm gonna go on a little holiday, finally, instead of,
Yep.
bashing about it.
But it's interesting that I think that it's something out there that's disturbing my peace, or something out there that's going to give me peace.
yes, but it's always just the mind that I hold that is going to bring either one of those, yeah. But we always focus it out here, which, again, we have to be very gentle with ourselves as we become aware of this, because it was set up unequivocally that I would continue to look in the world because that's where I think it's going to be found. As Ken said, the number one most important thing of this study of the Course is that we're finding out we're not mindless. We have another choice. Whether we use it or not right now is not even that important. The fact that you have that other choice is really what the most valuable thing.
Well, the funny part is that, someone was talking to me a couple of months ago, she made all the right decisions. She has her big house now, her little dog, she lives by a lake, she's a senior partner in this firm, and
There you go.
she's not happy.
And I think we need to look at that, and we all know many famous people who we think, oh, wouldn't it be great if I was famous and all this? They kill themselves, there's something wrong with this formula. It's not jiving.
Something's missing, and it's really a big something, isn't it?
It's a really big something, yes, yeah,
You tell me I live on the edge, my nephew said, you're living on the edge. I don't go to organized church,
right.
I'm not chasing the dollar. Maybe I am on the edge.
Yeah. But it's a good edge this time, right?
Not the edge.
I'm like, oh boy, that sounds bad.
Yep.
Doesn't he wish he could be on the edge instead of
No,
Wall
no.
Street, right? Let's skip
Yeah.
Wall Street with all that education.
But look at how even people that have mega millions of dollars, if they've got their money invested and the stock starts to drop, they're not at peace. It didn't matter how much they had. And no matter how much you have, there's always going to be, it could go away. So no moment are we fully at peace as long as we're playing the ego game. Yeah.
I want to go back to this
Sure.
sentence again. This is such a powerful
Mm.
sentence for me. Do not allow your brother to be sick, for if he is, you have abandoned him to his own dream by sharing it with him.
That means it's always up to me.
Well,
And
it's,
it
it's always
means-
up to you to take responsibility for what you have, that your perception.
Yes,
Because
yes.
that brother may not be at a place where he can even make that choice. So,
Right,
yeah.
it's never about the other.
never about the
It's
other.
always about
Yeah.
himself.
You know, that's a absolutely breathtakingly beautiful.
But
thing.
that, that means I have to watch like a hawk.
Well,
I have
yeah,
to watch my reaction to
Watch your
what's
mind.
the mind, yes, exactly.
absolutely. But then it comes right back down to what do I want? You know, if I'm mind wandering, what I'm saying is I don't care, you know, I don't give a shit about this stuff. Well, I'm gonna go do something else. Yep.
Right, and that's sort of the example that was coming up for me. Like, I've done that, I've had people do that, you know, with me. And
Just one of those
it can
days.
be abandonment, or it can be, you know, letting go and siding with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell sometimes.
Well, it is, and, you know, I think that's something in our beginning steps in the course is there is that uncertainty of what this is all about. But it's, to me, it's like, you know, the radio dial in the old-fashioned radios. As you keep working with it, eventually you get exactly right in the middle there. And the only way you get to the middle is to keep practicing. Yeah, and it does become easier and easier. Oh, yeah, I mean, this whole section to me is just breathtaking, you know, yeah.
Well, it's just refreshing to know that when somebody's talking and you don't like what they're saying, neither one of you knows what you're even talking about. So you might as well give it, up, you know, especially the weather. And the weather changes and, like, you know, so these conversations, I used to just get, you know, like, why are we talking about the weather again? You know, why do we have to talk about this again? And now I just, because then my friend will say something else that's not, I mean, I just don't, I'm not, it's like I'm trying to jump on every word she says to make sure that is this really where I'm supposed to be, Jesus? You know, hang with this person who's, you know, talking about getting her oil changed and all the time. And I just see that you know, well, where else do I have to go, for one thing? And what would happen to her, and, you know, I mean, it just doesn't, it's more congenial. I feel like a better person when I just use the Holy Spirit instead of using my own thoughts, and, I mean, the thoughts come though, you know,
Sure.
the thoughts come, you know, oh shit, now we're talking about this again. I mean, that just comes in my head. I go, well, so we know stomping out of here isn't gonna work, so what's gonna work? You know, Jesus goes, I'm over here, you.
Well, and you know, we say the prayer every week, I am here only to be truly helpful. And look how quickly the first encounter, I want to escape. How do I know that Jesus didn't put, well, you know, that makes Jesus sound like he's the puppeteer and he's moving us around, and I don't want to make it look like that. But how do you know your presence in that instant with whatever mundane, crazy situation appears to be happening could not be the perfect joining moment?
You don't know.
We don't know.
You know, Harvey and I played a game this afternoon.
Was it fun?
Yeah, it was fun. And we were talking about words and the meaning of words and how it gets in the way because
Sure.
nobody's ever communicating, you know, what the other person thinks. So I sat there with our eyes closed and erased the words. So there was sensations, there
Oh,
were
I love it.
sounds. You know, I didn't see anything, I could feel things. You know, I lost my sense of smell, now it's gone. You know? But I thought, this must be how animals exist, you know?
Yep.
It was wonderful.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. I didn't have to do anything.
You
Beautiful.
know, the funny thing is, we're living, you know, this unconscious, and it's all about duality. And the only thing we really need to be concerned with is what's my reaction to
Absolutely.
anything out here. And
Absolutely.
that's the only thing I need to deal with. I act as normal as other people
Sure.
do, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I don't take it serious.
But that takes some spiritual maturity to get to the point where we're at that place, because initially we're not. But it's
Well,
a
no,
beautiful
because
place when we
we're so
do.
busy,
Sure.
Mary Ann,
Oh, yeah.
trying to jump in
Yep.
and blame.
Right. But even as Andrea was saying in a conversation, how quickly am I not listening to the person and waiting for my turn so I can step over them? I mean, we all do it. I mean, I'm sure we all do it. And because I'm not really joining with that individual that's right in front of me.
I want them to be something that they're not. I
Absolutely.
want the experience to be different from the way it is.
You want it to be the way you want it.
Which is
That's
basically, I want to be God, people. Be very aware that says, I want to be God. And I assure you, with my experience of the Course, when we get out of the way of being God, the world works so much better. It's miraculous. But that requires some effort, because why do we jump into that empty space? Because we're too terrified of the empty space. And again, we need to respect where we are. We're not at a place where we're ready for just peace all the time. So don't judge yourself, but do become aware, inch by inch of what the game is that we're up to here.
It's kind of like it's all her fault that I'm not happy with her.
And that's, there's the storyline. I'm not happy because.
It's like, if I chose a different friend, it would work better. And it just isn't.
There you
I mean,
go.
And I think it's a whole awakening. And not that I didn't have good friends, years
Right.
ago, whatever, but it's an awakening to the part I play in the friendship, and how it changes as we get older as well. Like to have more compassion, to see myself instead of, there's nothing. I'm not gonna in my life, I'm not gonna go after her boyfriend. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna go shopping and take the shirt that she wants. I'm not gonna do stuff that I did, or that I thought of when I was not, I didn't think of it. But there's not, those things in life are different now. There's no, maybe that's why I appreciate this more. There's no competition for the stuff in life.
But there's competition for, what is it?
Space,
Power.
space and power,
In
right?
In that
Who's the
relationship,
stage?
yeah.
Who's on stage
I'm
right
smarter
now?
than you. I need, what I have to say is more important than you.
Yeah.
Right there,
That's
I've shifted, yeah.
And how often am I talking about the most mundane bullshit?
Right.
I catch myself every now and
Yep.
then, and I certainly accuse the other of doing that.
Mhm.
But I've had moments,
Yeah.
I spend time with someone, daily pretty much, and he gets very caught up in work, telling me about work, and where am I at? Who am I listening to right now? If I'm bitching and moaning, I don't wanna hear this, I'm not gonna listen to this, he's gonna think about something else, whatever.
Yeah.
Who am I listening to? You
Yep.
know, and then it's moments of, oh, look how happy he is talking about this.
Mhm.
Why would I want to
Right,
listen to
yeah,
this?
to hurt, that it would be persecution or
Right.
whatever, to be, I don't know, I guess in my old life, I didn't know how to really cut anybody off from, with traffic or anything, and now all of a sudden I have this urge to, wanna go.
Gotta practice that one, because you missed out in your childhood.
Now I'm getting in my old age, I'm gonna be, gonna
Right.
get them.
But see,
Go get them now, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're catching up for a long
Right.
time.
And
lost time.
also, again, I repeat this a lot, but it just comes up quite a bit now, is when I'm in that place, I don't wanna hear this, da-da-da-da, how painful that experience is for me.
Yeah. exactly.
That's what's
Right.
gonna motivate me to choose this side.
Right, it's not because I wanna be good.
No.
It's
No.
not because I
No.
should be good, or I
No.
should be nice.
No,
It's
no,
because I
it's just listening
because
to
it's
that
not
side
gonna
of the
work.
chart is painful.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
And-
that's
and
a
here's-
worthwhile shift,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Here's something I'm gonna throw in the mix here. We think certain things people talk about are mundane, but literally everything everybody talks about is part of the ego.
I have a mundane thing.
Yes.
How dare you?
This is coming up for me. When we're talking like this, we're saying, I'm upset because you.
Always. That's how the ego does. Yep.
When I'm upset and I recognize it and I shift and do the atonement prayer, I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. I'll switch it. I am not at peace. I am upset because I chose wrongly.
Absolutely.
And there's a clarification for me.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
That's all that's going on.
the quicker I get to that and say that prayer, oh, my shoulders relax more.
Beautiful.
How's that for mundane?
That works, and that's what we're being asked to continually shift. Wait a minute, where am I going? Where am I going? Do I really want to go that way again?
He's providing the tools.
He's providing the tools. Yep. But we have to pick up the tools and use them. And we can repeat the words of the Course and memorize them and do all kinds of things. But unless I'm picking up the tools on my daily basis of what's going on in my life, I'm still not doing it.
Well, it does help to fill up the space in your mind
Oh,
with
yeah.
the positive words, whatever they are in the book. It just, that's a whole thing I do that helps me a lot, because it's not that I maybe understand them every time I say it, but I'm getting more information from using those words, because the way the words are expressed in the book really express what I have to do, or how, because I get a little bit frustrated, and I'll say the prayer that I say, and then I'll say, okay, Andrea, are you listening to that? And then it just, because there's nothing else to do, or be mad, or be frustrated.
Yep. Well, we're good at that.
So this filling the space thing
Oh, yeah.
in your chart, we're trying to clear a space, and it's interesting just hearing that. Because I do
There it
feel
is.
like I have to feel, right, this is what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
So I want to feel it with.
Well, because I'm addicted to this.
Yeah.
So that's, the nothing is not very comforting if you're addicted to this. As you start removing layers and layers of this becomes a lot more appealing. It's like, like the moment you experienced of closing your eyes and not having the input of all the things. Now you're able to be and sit there and go, oh, wow, whew, this feels great.
So
Well, just think of the conversations that go still and how afraid you become.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And that's,
Marianne, does that include a prayer?
well, ultimately that includes everything, because there's no need for a prayer ultimately, in the end, there's no need to cover anything, because I am that clarity. Why would I need to add to clarity? Yeah. No, and that doesn't mean it can't help on the way, but eventually your mind is so still. Why do I need to, I am the gap. I no longer need to make room for the gap.
So when you get to that point, nothing has happened.
Well, yeah, there you go. And you would know nothing happened, versus we're talking about nothing happened where we don't really believe nothing happened. Yeah. Yeah. And keep remembering, it's just literally when you wake up from a nighttime dream and you go, oh, thank goodness that wasn't real. We will eventually wake up from the daytime dream and go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that wasn't real. And be in a much better place.
Ending of Bob Newhart.
Pardon me?
The ending of the Newhart
Oh,
show. Bob
yeah.
Oh,
Newhart.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
That's it. The ending of Bob Newhart was that he was dreaming everything.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was like 10 seasons.
Okay, right.
So after 10 seasons, he woke up from a dream.
Okay, I got you.
Suzanne Plachette, who was his wife as previous, yeah.
Yeah. But as I said a couple times already today, we need to be respectful of where we are on this journey. If today I'm still very wrapped in the world, don't judge yourself or smack yourself on the hand or hate yourself. Simply recognize that literally is my fear of connecting with oneness. I'm not ready for it. So maybe I'll just take a little peek and then I'll go back, and a little more, and then eventually one day, thank you. Thank you for always being there, even though I wasn't ready to be with you.
I have to say that the reason I came to this course was because I had experienced meditation and peace and quiet. And I still feel that that's something that's helpful if you're having an issue, to go to the meditation of peace and quiet. That way you're not all still involved in what should I do next and what do I do and I have to do this and I have to do that. To spend 20 minutes in silence with a mantra or something to calm myself, that has been invaluable in my life. I think people don't, if you haven't experienced the calm feeling, you don't think it's possible, or you're not interested in it.
Sure.
So I think that's what's led me, into this, is because those feelings were, I guess, kindled a long time ago, where I could, when it was peaceful and quiet, I was content.
Right.
And I felt that sense of, it didn't matter if I stood up or sat down, it didn't matter what anybody was talking about. And that was, for me, that really is what has led me to want to know more about that. What's so bad about peace and quiet, And I mean, so many people I've met and know, they can't stand any quiet at all. It's gotta be
Absolutely.
everybody's always doing something. There's no interval where you could like sit and breathe. You gotta put the game on, you gotta put music, everything is always going like that.
Yep.
And I think in my life, when I stepped out of that space, I mean, my father was so angry.
Yep.
Couldn't imagine, she's going off to La La Land.
Yep.
And I didn't, because it got me off of that whirlwind, I didn't care what he thought. It was because it was just too valuable a place personally to be able to work from. And so, I don't know how people do that, if they're just going along with everybody's program all the time, where is their spot where they actually sit and,
Right.
Attain that sense, I guess.
Well, and then there's a line in the Course that says there's a limit to how much pain we can tolerate, but we will continue to walk away from the light until it becomes so dark that something hits us and we begin to search for that. And until then, we're just doing our thing.
Right.
And nobody knows when it's somebody's time to hit that place. And, there's a line in the Course where it talks about the idea, sometimes when people get to that point, they commit suicide because they don't see any way out in the world. And, some of us found the Course or some other spirituality that kept us going in that direction. Yeah, Kathleen?
There was, maybe this is wishful thinking, but I was doing some writing the other day, reflective writing in the chapel, and one of the things I wrote was, darkness no longer controls me.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal for me
Sure.
because, I've had so much of that in my life that
Right.
I just really, because of this course and awareness of this and your teaching, because I don't listen to Ken Walk, like I come to your class, but it's kind of like I'm starting to, and the circumstances of my life,
Sure.
I'm becoming more, what is that, walking the fine line, what is that called, when you have to choose?
It's not coming to me.
The narrow gate?
The narrow gate, yes.
It's got a very narrow field.
And that's what happens, yeah.
Who I listen to, who's in my heart, who I want a relationship with. It's not perfect, but this doesn't impact me as much as it used to.
Yep.
It's getting clearer,
Right.
which is really nice.
Yep.
for me.
And I think as we look back in our life, you will begin to see, I'm not the same person I was when I came in these doors. And, it's been lots of not so fun steps sometimes, but I'm in a better place than I was before, and I'm
I'm
starting.
in a better place emotionally. My life is still a disaster. I'm living in a burned building,
Yeah.
which is unlivable. And so there's like chaos always around me.
But see, it's not about getting rid of the chaos. It's about getting in the center, much like the hurricane, the eye of the tornado, I guess it's not a tornado, is the centeredness. The nutsies going around. But can I stay centered? Because staying centered is that connection with the Holy Spirit. Yeah, and we can all find places to go and things to do that we think we're gonna, or have better friends, or whatever it may be. But the bottom line is, we're gonna take ourselves with us, because the projection is coming from our mind. And, you know, even if you go into the silence, if your mind is not silenced, you're not going to have a silent experience, because it's your mind that's projecting.
And that's where real life is.
Right.
Speaking of life, that's the life in that building. You know, and all those things, I think that's in there, my house, this, my
Sure,
cat, my
sure.
dog, that's not anything, having anything to do with my life. And when I think that it's my life, and God, I can't help but feel like a victim and deprived, because something very essential has been taken from me.
Absolutely. And, you know, be aware of how deeply the world has so many opportunities to say, oh, no, you can't possibly be at peace because.
Yeah.
And but wait, I got one that's even better than the last one. And this one, absolutely, there's no way you can find a place of peace within you. And the Course is saying, yes, you can. And Jesus even demonstrated that with the crucifixion. He basically said, I'm demonstrating this so that you can see no matter what you go through, you have the same opportunity that I had. Are you going to choose? And it may not be yes today, but maybe tomorrow. But when you finally do, you'll go, oh yeah, I wish I'd have done that a little sooner. But you can't really do it sooner than you can, so.
Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying, Kathleen, because living in my apartment, you know, there's, you know, of course, it's a dual experience. It's a love, deep hate experience, and the